farmers, this may be the year that decides everything. Mounting losses, rising debt, and equipment that's hard to walk away from. Why economists say government aid is only a bridge, not a fix. Plus, he pulled off one of the boldest agriculture scams ever. More than $200 million gone. Now the man serving a 52-year sentence wants a presidential pardon. The fraud, the escape attempt, and why prosecutors say the story isn't over. Good evening and welcome in to Eye on Agriculture. I'm Britton Rucker. There's a new heavyweight in the global beef market, and it's not the U.S. Brazil has officially taken the United States as the world's top beef producer, according to Reuters. U.S. production fell nearly 4% last year as the cattle herd continues to shrink. Meanwhile, Brazil's output climbed to more than 12.5 million tons. Analysts say Brazil's advantage comes down to feed. Massive soybean crops followed by second crop corn, giving the country a steady low-cost supply to grow cattle fast. What does that mean for U.S. producers? More competition. Imports from Brazil and Australia helping fill the gap left by smaller U.S. herds, and that could cap cattle prices moving forward. Cotton farmers across the South are facing the toughest decision of their careers: hang on or get out. After multiple years of losses, debt is piling up, costs remain high, and new government payments aren't enough to close the gap. Industry experts warn 2026 could be the breaking point, with more growers expected to leave farming, some by choice, others forced out by lenders. Average cotton losses last year topped $300 per acre, while prices remain below the break-even again this season. And for farmers without specialized cotton equipment, walking away isn't simple. While USDA assistance may help keep some operations afloat short-term, economists say it's a bridge, not a solution. Economists say it's time for the next generation of farmers to rewrite the playbook. The University of Illinois analysts warn that expanding by renting more acres simply doesn't pencil out anymore. With corn acres around $4, soybeans near $10.50, and average cash rents topping $260 an acre, margins are going negative fast. In fact, economists project losses of more than $30 an acre on rented ground next year, even before accounting for risk. They say farmers bidding above average rents are essentially burning cash. One of the biggest fraudsters in USDA history now asking for a presidential pardon. Nick Patel, the Florida con artist who stole more than $200 million through fake USDA-backed loans, now serving a 52-year federal prison sentence. And in 2026, this year, he's seeking clemency. Prosecutors say Patel forged loan documents, created fake lenders and borrowers, and even ran new scams while in jail, pulling his wife into the scheme. At one point, he nearly escaped the country on a chartered jet with cash, fake passports, and an asylum plan already in place. Investigators recovered more than $100 million, but tens of millions remain unaccounted for. Despite the staggering scope of the fraud, Patel now calls himself a political prisoner and hoping a pardon could erase one of the biggest bold ag crimes ever uncovered. New research finds precision agriculture is set for robust growth through 2030. BCC research projects the market to climb from $12.8 billion in 2025 to $21.2 billion by 2030. That's an annual growth rate of 10.6%. Analysts points to the rising global food demand, wider use of GPS, drones, and AI, and labor shortages pushing farms towards automation. Farm suicide rates continue to increase. Rural suicide rates run well above urban levels, and farmers die by suicide at roughly 3.5 times the general population. Hotlines and counselors report more calls this year as unstable markets, high input costs, and long, lonely hours pile up on stress. Warning signs include growing irritability, more drinking or drug use, and trouble sleeping. Simple steps can help. Keep basics like food and sleep on track. Reach out to family or neighbors. Carve out small breaks for a walk or a coffee break. And use telehealth when local care isn't available. Organizations including Farm Aid and Farmer Rescue offer free help and practical support. If you need somebody to talk to, call 1-800-FARM-AID or 988. All right, we're keeping an eye on agriculture as farmers are projected to break a state corn yield record. Farmer Grant Weber winning the Kansas Corn Yield Contest with a yield of about 349 bushels an acre. The Haskell County farmer broke the state record and topped the irrigated class competition. The Kansas Corn Growers Association says it saw Kansas farmers produce an average of more than 251 bushels an acre. Contest winners will receive honors at the Kansas Corn Symposium later this month in Salina. Coming up, the courtroom and the farm gate colliding. We'll break down the legal and tax decisions from 2025 that could shape farm operations for years to come.